Hi there, my name is Kirsten. This is the Paper Knits podcast, episode number 15. I'm a knitter in Edmonton, Alberta, and I really love to knit and I really love talking about my knitting, and so I really love talking about my knitting with all of you. So yeah, thanks for being here. I'm on Instagram as @paper.knits, and I'm on Ravelry as thisispaperknits. I am not in Edmonton, Alberta today. I am in British Columbia on a little getaway by myself, / not by myself, because I'm with my parents and my family, but without my husband and my kids. And my parents are on a golf trip and I am on a knitting trip. So I just wanted to get away for a little bit. It's my kids' last week of school, and so just the timing of it, I didn't want to like pull them out for their last couple days of school to also come. And I think my husband kind of said jokingly like, oh, you could just go. And then I was like, wait, I could just go. So I did. So I'll maybe chat a little bit more about that at the end, but I'm in a bit of a different spot here. Don't have my usual, like, I love being surrounded by all of my knitting things while I'm filming, but I do have a nice view right now of some mountains and the valley. It's kind of a cloudy day today, but I stopped and took a few videos of the mountains as I was coming along, so I'll put those in here somewhere too. But so yeah, I've got a handful of things to share today. I haven't been doing a ton of knitting, partly because I am starting to get some pain in my forearms, and so I'm trying to be really careful about that I am not injuring myself. I don't even know if it was from knitting necessarily. The first time I noticed it was from me spinning. And so, yeah, I did a bit of spinning in the last, probably like a month ago, which I hadn't done in a while. And I don't know if that, I'm probably like a little bit tense as I'm doing that. And so I don't know if that kind of aggravated them. But yeah, I've just like been really aware of how sore my arms and wrists have been, having some like tingling in my fingers when I'm just like not moving. Like, it's not even like, well, I'm knitting and like, oh, my hands are burning. It's like, no, I'm like laying in bed and my arms are sore, or I like couldn't hold my phone and like scroll because it was hurting. So I've been trying to be really careful. I've been like doing some stretches and just like taking it easy. The last week it's been better, and so I have been doing a little bit more knitting, but nothing too intense, I guess. I did finish my Rowan cardigan. I'm going to film, I think, a special episode just talking about that one. But I ended up only doing half the amount of ribbing on the collar as what the pattern suggested, but I couldn't do it anymore. That might have actually been something that hurt my wrists, because it was like the whole weight of the sweater, and then I'm knitting on these tiny needles, just like doing 2x2 ribbing, like a bazillion stitches. So anyways, it is done, it is blocked. It's beautiful. I love it. I will talk about that more in another episode, I think, just to, I don't know, that one's extra special, so it gets a special episode, I think. But I do have some one update on a sweater from last time. I have a new cast on, 2 new cast ons, and 0 progress on another project. So first up is my Lumme sweater by Sari Nordland. Last episode, I was like maybe to here on the yoke, and so obviously have gotten quite a bit. So my last episode went up the end of May, but I actually filmed it like 10 days before that. And so this has not just been a month's worth, this has been 6 weeks worth. And the first 2 weeks of that, I was knitting fine. And then the next 2 weeks, my arms were sore. 2 or 3 weeks, and then just this last week they've been okay again. So anyways, I don't want to be obnoxious and be like, I've hardly knit, look at my entire sweater. That's not what I'm going for here. Anyways, the color work of this was very enjoyable. I loved every single stitch, and now I'm just like, you know, trying to make sure I make it long enough so that it doesn't feel too cropped. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this a lot. This is knit with Natura Gilead, and I'm just really enjoying it. I like cannot wait to block it. I think it's going to just like soften up and just like meld all together like really beautifully. One thing that was kind of silly was most of the yoke is on one chart and it has, you know, the increases as you go. And then I finished that chart and then just skipped to some other instructions that said knit until, you know, yoke is X many inches before you split for sleeves. So I just like went ahead and did that and then looked back on the pattern and I was like, wait a second, I missed another round of increases and then this last section of color work. And so I ripped it back, did my last bit of increases, did the last section of the color work, and then what I ended up doing, so it all worked out good in the end, is that I added short rows before I split for sleeves. And so normally, well, not necessarily, but often there's short rows at the back of the neck that you do before you start the color work. And so I don't love that because I don't like having a chunk of plain knitting right at the back of the neck. I like that it just goes straight into the color work pattern. But in the pattern, the short rows are right after you split for the sleeves and then again at the bottom, just to like make sure that the back is a little bit longer than the front. But what I need short rows for is to raise the back of the neck, not to just lengthen the bottom. And so, especially with this like quite like close to the neckline and the double thick collar neckband, I wanted to have that the back be higher than the front. So you can see that, I think. I don't think I'm over exaggerating that with how I'm holding it, but I think it worked out really well. I followed the same short row instructions-ish as what was in the pattern. I just did them before I split for the sleeves. And so there's obviously more stitches that I was working because I was coming all the way around a little bit past the like side seam with the short rows. But I added the same number of short rows, I think, as that first section. So anyways, I think it worked out really well. I've been trying it on as I go, really happy with the fit. And I think this is gonna be like a really like go-to sweater for me in the winter. I'm really happy with it so far. The sleeves have color work at the bottom before the cuff. So I need to decide if I'm gonna do that or not. I don't like how you lose the elasticity in the fabric when you do color work. And I like really need to be able to pull up my sleeves. So I need to decide about that. I don't know if the sleeves are tapered. Yeah, I don't remember. I haven't got that far yet. Obviously, I'm just still working on the body. But yeah, it's coming along really well. I probably like an inch ago, I was like, it's probably long enough. I should just start the ribbing. But thankfully, I like tried it on to make sure that it was long enough, and it was not. Do not want it to feel too cropped, so I will make sure that I get the length that I want. That will actually make this sweater as good as I want it to be. Yeah, so there's that. It's coming along pretty good. I am kind of anticipating that it will get put aside at some point this summer, that I won't want to work on it anymore. Like maybe I'll do like part of a sleeve and then I'll stall out because I have to decide if I want to knit the color work or not, and then it'll get tucked away and then I will finish it when it's actually cold out and I can wear it, but we will see. Also just realized that I did not share what I'm wearing, and I like to share what I'm wearing. So this is the Clark Pullover by Jane Richmond, and I knit this last spring. And actually I double checked, it's from episode 2 and 3 of my podcast. So if you've been here since then, shout out to you. But if you want to go back and learn about this knit, then you can. I knit it with Ancient Arts Nettle Soft DK, which is one of my favorite yarns from my favorite yarn company. And yeah, anyways, so yeah, I said that I have not done any progress on my Admix pullover. I did bring it all along with me, so I might start the back panel this week while I'm away, but it's just the same as where it was at. I have been delaying starting this again because the bottom is the cast on is a tubular cast on that I am not familiar with. I need to look up the instructions again. I'm a little bit worried that I did not write down what needle size I used, and I just have been avoiding checking. So that's why I have not, cast on the next piece of this sweater because I was loving knitting this. So we'll see, maybe that'll be a project for when I don't have children interrupting me every 2.5 minutes. And I can cast on for the back of that one. I have cast on a new sweater and just this afternoon finished the body of it, but it's just a little one. So this is a sweater for my nephew. And it's called Abate by Alicia Plummer. She'd had a sale on patterns a couple months ago and I bought a few and bought this one with the intention of making a little sweater for my nephew. So it's just a little raglan. And then the top has kind of a like funnel neck. And yeah, just something cute and cozy for him. He is, how many months would he be? He'll be 1 in August. So he's 10 months. This is the 4T size. The pattern starts at 2T, and so it's not like I could have made one any smaller, but he is an adorably chunky little guy. And so he's like been in 18 month size plus clothing for like a while now. So I did not want to knit him a sweater and then it not fit him. So I think this will be too big for him right now and yet might still fit him next year. So that's the hope. But anyways, just zooming along. This is, do you like how I'm like pretending like I'm wearing it like I do with my sweaters that I that I knit for myself? I'm knitting this with Barocco Vintage, which I think is my like go-to yarn to use when I still want to use something that has wool in it, but that it's like easy care for other people. So I have a couple, I've used it a few times. I like it. I can buy it at my local yarn store. They've got lots of different colors. It's nice to knit with. Like it feels a little bit acrylic-y, but not too much. It is mostly acrylic. Like it's 52% acrylic, 40% wool, 8% nylon. And so the majority of it is not wool, but it feels quite nice to knit with and washes well and whatever. So anyways, yeah, that's my little sweater for my nephew. I was watching knitting podcast this morning and knit a couple inches on the bottom and did the ribbing and did a very nice tubular bind off. Will it focus so you can see? It's just so nice. I just love that bind off so much. The gauge of this, I'm just realizing this as I'm holding it up to the light. I can like see through it so much. The gauge is 18 stitches and it's worsted weight yarn. I think that this yarn, it's about 200 meters per 100 grams. I think that probably like 20 stitches per 4 inches would be a better gauge for this. It's a little bit loose. Like you can see obviously quite a bit of light coming through there. So I think it's fine. Like it does not need to be a like windproof, waterproof layer for my 1-year-old nephew. But it feels like a little bit looser than maybe what I would have chosen for the yarn. So I'm also, right now I'm knitting a toque with the same yarn. And this I knit on 5mm needles and the toque I'm knitting on 3.25mm needles. And so definitely a denser gauge for that. I don't know what the stitch count is on that, but I think that's probably like quite a dense fabric. There's probably some place in between would be like what the ideal would be for that yarn, but that's okay. I just started on the second skein of yarn. This nice like foresty green color. So yeah, that's been just a nice easy project to work on. Okay, and so then my last episode, I told you that I had just ordered some Sonder yarn, which I was very excited about, and it very quickly arrived. Actually, it might have arrived while I was editing that podcast because it took me so long to actually get it up. And so I like almost included it, but I was like, no, I'll just show it properly. So it was my 35th birthday a couple of weeks ago. And so I decided that this yarn was my birthday present to myself. And I like to start a new project on my birthday. So I cast on this project and I have a new cute little knitting bag that my husband got me. for my birthday. This is from Della Q. It's their like train case, I think it's called. And I had seen it at the Fiber Nook with my husband a couple months ago when I was buying my yarn for my Admix pullover actually. And then suggested that maybe I could get that for my birthday. It's just like, it's so cute. Like I just love it so much. It makes me feel very like I should be sitting on a train in Europe and knitting. So yeah, this is magnetized up here. Came with a few little stitch markers and a darning needle. There's a little tray on the top that comes off. And then I have my yarn in there. So there's little notches here too on the sides for you to, so you can pull your yarn through there. Anyways, I love it. It's so cute to me. So here is my Sonder yarn that I'm just so happy about. So it's the Sunday morning 4-ply. And this will be my main color, and then I have all these 5 little minis. This one's called Whale Watching, and then these, I don't remember which one's which, but I will put it up on the screen. One thing I love about Sonder and why I've been like eyeing their yarn for so long is that I feel like their colors are so cohesive that you could just grab literally any of them and they would go together nicely. And yes, I really like it. So when I bought these, I think that this one was on, like the full skeins were on sale, and then they were running low on minis or something, and so that's why I like snagged it up really quickly. Anyways, I'm making this Stria cardigan by Andrea Mowry, which has been on my knit list for like quite a while. I am not very far into it. I have only cast on and like done a couple of rows, but I made a very nice swatch and magically got gauge the first time, although it's also hard to know how to measure half fisherman's rib because it's so stretchy. So I did I measured it before I washed it, and then I did pin it in a way that seemed like it wasn't stretching it out too much, but also wasn't like super bunchy. And then measured it and I got gauge. So my stitch gauge is proper. My row gauge is tighter, I think. No, I don't remember, but I haven't obviously gotten very far into that to have to make a decision about the row gauge. This is, yeah, it's half fisherman's rib, which I had never done before, except turns out it's very similar to this stitch pattern. And the row gauge is quite dense, as with the Admix pullover. But I was surprised how quickly my swatch went. Like, I think I like how rhythmic the half fisherman's rib is, even though it like takes a long time to knit. It feels like it's more engaging than just knitting plain stockinette. So even if it takes more knitting, I feel like my brain cares more about it. So it's not as tedious. So anyways, I obviously, yeah, have not gotten very far. The pattern has some nice charts for you to keep track of your, depending on your size, for like your raglan increase. It tells you when, you know, if this row has the raglan increase, if it has if it has neckline shaping, when to switch to the different colors, all that. So that's quite nice. I like to have my hand kind of held as I go along with a pattern like that. Oh, I was gonna say with that little green sweater that I'm knitting for my nephew, it was a raglan. This is raglan. I think that I feel like I know how to knit them now. This one took a little bit of my, like, wait a second, what am I doing? Partly because I am hesitant to say anything that could be perceived as a criticism of Andrea Mowry, because obviously she is beloved, but I find her, the formatting on her patterns hard to follow. And so when it's, I don't know what it is about it. Like there's like 2 columns of text in the patterns, and so the words just like all jumble together. And so I rewrote it so that I would have like, okay, from from the beginning of the row until the first raglan stitch marker, and then from that stitch marker to the next raglan stitch marker, and I like wrote them all out so I had them separate like in 4 lines, because it would just like, it just was a jumble of letters. I think with something where you need to be paying attention line by line, the formatting of her patterns, just like my brain does not compute what is happening. A few years ago, I made the Cinnabar shawl, and I remember that feeling very similar. Christmas. Yeah, because you had to kind of pay attention line by line to what was going on, but it didn't feel like it was written line by line. It just felt like it was written in this like clump. So once I rewrote out the instructions, it just like, okay, yes, now I understand. I know where I'm at. I know which stitch marker is referring to what. Yeah. We'll see if it still feels that way. I haven't worked on it now in like 4 days. So we'll see if I still remember what I'm doing based on how I rewrote the instructions, but I didn't rewrite them. I just like wrote them out in a different format. So anyways, I am excited for that. That will be a long-term project, I think, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited to start winding up some minis and deciding which order I want to do them in. If I'm remembering correctly, the pattern calls for like the main color and then 4 contrast colors, but the yardage on these minis was a little bit less than what was called for in the pattern, and so I got 5, and I will just add an extra color in my stripes. So yeah, I'm excited to keep getting going on that one. And I think that is all of my knitting to share. I did finish another project. When I ordered the Sonder yarn, I also ordered a skein of their Luxe Sport base, which is BFL, Nasham, and Cashmere. And I knit a little scarf for a friend. And so I had like asked my friend, like, can I please make you something? And can I please use this yarn? And so that was a quick little project, but I didn't bring it with me, and I want to like show it, I think, because I like altered the pattern and stuff. So I will maybe talk about that next time if I haven't given it to my friend already. But that was a cute little, yeah, just a little like neck scarf kind of thing. That's very cute. I also have made 1 mitten, and I hopefully will make the second mitten at some point. Maybe when I cast on the second one, I will also share that. But that's the other thing that I've been working at. I think I needed a couple like small things. So like working on that little scarf, working on a mitten. It's just like a nice, like kind of satisfying, like quick knit. Just get a little bit of a like, haha, I finished it. So yeah, that was nice too, as I have had like sweaters on my needles otherwise. So yeah, I think that's all of my knitting. I am gonna tell you a little bit about some life things, I guess. So if you want to stick around for that, then that's cool. And if not, then that's okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm in BC. I'm at Fairmont Hot Springs for a couple days. But I stopped at the Nordic spa in Kananaskis on my way. And so on Monday, it was my son's little kindergarten graduation. And then I finished packing my stuff and I took off. And so, yeah, drove to Kananaskis and stayed at the lodge there. And then, yeah, went to the Nordic spa. And I've gone a couple of times before with friends, and it's like feels kind of fancy, and also I like kind of wish that it was a little bit more than what it actually is. But I like the idea of it. I think I didn't end up staying. I think I was kind of like, I wasn't relaxed. I think that's what the problem was, and it wasn't helping me relax by like being in a bathing suit. I think, or something, I don't know. But anyways, I'll put some pictures of what the Nordic spa looks like. It's the whole like water therapy, like temperature, different pools have different temperatures, and you can like do this circuit of like hot, cold, warm, rest kind of thing. And yeah, when I've gone before with friends, we just like sit and chit chat. I brought my Kindle along, so I've been reading. But it was also the Stanley Cup final that night. And every time I went back into the change room to like grab my water, grab my wallet or something, they have a restaurant inside the like pools area. I was like checking my phone to like check the Oilers score. Normally if I'm watching hockey, it's playoff hockey. I barely watched any hockey this year. I just was excited about the Oilers potentially winning. My older son had gotten like really into it and was so sweet and fun, like him and dad like watching hockey together. Anyways, I ended up leaving the spa and then went and like showered, got dressed, and then went down to the restaurant in the actual like hotel area, and they had TVs set up in like a bunch of different places, just like hooked up to laptops. So they're just like random TVs like on banquet tables inside the restaurant, because it was like quite full of people watching the game. And yeah, we were just all really disappointed when the game finished. It was just like, there was just like this like heavy like sadness in the room when they lost. So that was a bummer. Yeah, hockey's real big in Canada, in Alberta especially, and in Edmonton especially. Oilers fans are like pretty intense. So anyways, it was a bummer they didn't win. Anyways, I don't know why I talked about hockey for so long, because I really only like kind of care about it. I just really wanted the Oilers to win. But anyways, I had a nice long like 12-hour sleep at the hotel, and then got up the next morning and drove to Canmore and had wandered around Main Street Canmore for a little while, which was quite nice. I bought a mug, which I will show. There's this little shop in Canmore that only called Alberta's Own. It only sells things that were like by Alberta companies. So they're not necessarily all made in Alberta, but all the companies are Albertan, which I like. That's just like my alley. So yeah, I got this mug from a company called Burnt Earth, and I have another one last time I was in Canmore that I bought from them. And then yeah, it's just like one of my favorite mugs, so I wanted to add to my collection. And then went and got breakfast, got a coffee, and then continued driving out here. So yeah, it was nice. I was listening to audiobooks and singing along to Taylor Swift, as one does. And yeah, it's nice. Like have some nice quiet time, hang out with my parents, which I like to do. And they're golfing today. And so I've just like had the place to myself. And yeah, we might go up to the hot springs. My brother and sister-in-law are coming in a couple days, and she is also a very avid knitter. Shout out to the Knitting Nerd on Instagram. She and I will have some knitting time together on Friday, I think, while the others golf. And yeah, just relax a little bit. Summer will be busy, just having the kids at home again, and I don't necessarily thrive on that, which is maybe kind of weird because that's literally my job. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But yeah, just with other things in life, and my current capacity is low. So yeah, they like the schedule of school, as do I. So we will have a good summer, but yeah, I just wanted a little getaway before the busyness of that begins. Okay, also wanted to update about how Margot was doing. So introduced Margot to you last time, my new cat. She is just the sweetest cat ever. She's so delightful, and we have been slowly, like Birdie and Margot have been getting to know each other. We have been taking it very slow. I think they're doing really well. Last night my husband said that he left them in the same space overnight, which we have tried before, but it lasted like 10 minutes before they were squabbling. But yeah, he left them together last night, and they did fine. I think that Birdie's like a little bit suspicious sometimes, because Margot will just like hop up and like curl up in her little spot. Like usually that's Birdie's spot, like, you know, curled up by our feet or something, and now Margot's there. So we've been trying to reassure Birdie that's like, no, we love you too. Like you can also come and snuggle with us, but also you have a friend now. And yeah, I'm trying to trying to get them to get along. So I do think it's going well. I feel it's like been kind of stressful, but it's been steadily improving, and so I've been glad for that. I really want them to like each other. So right now they're almost at the point where they're neutral about each other. So like I feel like that's a really good step, and then they can gradually start to like each other as time goes by. So anyways, but yeah, she's very sweet, very insistent. She'll come up and like give your hand quite a bop to, you know, pet me now, and she like puts her little paws up on, you know, like the edge of the couch, or like puts them up on my leg, or I'm like laying in bed like doing a cross. I like to play the New York Times crosswords and stuff. She like comes and like curls up right on my chest, and yeah, she's very sweet. So that's been adding some joy to our life for sure. And she's very good with the kids, which has been really nice, and they are just also delighted with her. And so yeah, that's been really special. So I'm sure I will have put in some pictures here of her because she's so cute. And yes, we're quite happy to have had her join our family. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I want to talk about. Yeah, I hope that whatever you are working on is bringing you some joy. I always love to hear what people are working on. So if you want to tell me in the comments, I like immediately go and look it up to like see what the project is, and have definitely added a few to my favorites after people have recommended things. And I feel like people have like gotten to know kind of what my vibe is, and so then a few people have been like, oh, I think you'd really like this sweater, and I go and look it up and you're like, yes, you're right, I do really like that sweater. So that's fun for me. So I would love to hear what you're working on, and yeah, thanks for joining me today. Okay, catch you next time. Happy knitting.